Justin Bieber was 15 when I first saw him walk through Diddy's door. I was 28, working security for a private estate in the Hollywood Hills. Not Diddy's main mansion. This was different. A rental property he used for creative sessions, tucked away where Google Maps couldn't find it, where neighbors didn't exist, and where what happened inside stayed buried. I didn't know who the kid was at first. Just another teenager in a hoodie, flanked by two men in black who didn't look like family. His eyes were wide, excited even, like he'd won a golden ticket. He had no idea what kind of factory he was walking into. My job was simple. Stand at the entrance, check IDs, make sure no one unauthorized got in or out. I wasn't supposed to ask questions. I wasn't supposed to remember faces. But some faces you can't forget, especially when you watch them change in real time. Diddy met him at the door personally. That alone was unusual. He didn't greet guests. Guests came to him. But for Justin, he made an exception. He put his arm around the kid's shoulders, leaned in close, and said something that made Justin laugh nervously. From where I stood, I could see Diddy's hand grip tighter than necessary. Not violent, just possessive, like he was marking territory. "This is gonna be a night you never forget, young king," Diddy said, loud enough for me to hear. "We're gonna make magic tonight." Justin nodded, still smiling, still believing this was mentorship, still thinking he was safe. They walked inside and the door closed behind them with a sound like a vault ceiling. The house had rules, unspoken ones that everyone who worked there understood instinctively. Don't look directly at the guests. Don't speak unless spoken to. Don't question why certain rooms were locked from the inside. And never, ever ask about the cameras. There were cameras everywhere. Not the obvious security kind. These were hidden. Professional grade, the kind used in film production. I found one once, tucked behind a decorative mirror in the hallway. When I mentioned it to my supervisor, he pulled me aside and said, "You didn't see that. And if you want to keep this job, you won't see anything else either." That first night with Justin, the house felt different. The usual staff had been sent home early. It was just me, one other guard named Marcus who never made eye contact with anyone, and whoever was upstairs with Diddy and the kid. Around 11 p.m., I heard music. Not party music. Something slow, rhythmic, almost hypnotic. It was coming from the third floor, a section of the house I'd never been allowed to access. The stairwell leading up there was always roped off with a velvet cord and a sign that read, "Private Studio, No Entry." But that night, the rope was down. I don't know what made me do it. Curiosity, maybe, or some instinct that told me something was wrong. I waited until Marcus went to the bathroom, then I slipped past the entrance and climbed the stairs. The music got louder, and underneath it, I heard voices. Diddy's voice, smooth and commanding. "You trust me, right? This is how stars are made. You gotta be willing to do what others won't." And then Justin's voice, quieter, uncertain. "Yeah, I trust you." My stomach turned. At the top of the stairs was a door. Heavy, soundproofed, the kind you see in recording studios. It was cracked open just enough that I could see a sliver of light spilling out. I should have turned back. Every survival instinct I had was screaming at me to leave. But I didn't. I pressed myself against the wall and looked inside. The room was unlike anything else in the house. The walls were padded with dark burgundy fabric, absorbing sound and light. Stage lights hung from the ceiling, pointed at a single spot in the center of the room. A raised platform about 3 feet off the ground, with a velvet chair sitting on it like a throne. Diddy sat in that chair, legs crossed, one hand resting on his chin. He looked relaxed, patient, predatory. Justin stood in front of him on the platform, still wearing his hoodie but looking smaller somehow, like the room was swallowing him. "Take it off," Diddy said casually, gesturing to the hoodie. Justin hesitated. "What?" "The hoodie." "You can't perform with all that on. I need to see you. The real you." There was a long pause. Then Justin pulled the hoodie over his head and dropped it to the floor. He was wearing a white tank top underneath, arms pale and thin under the lights. Diddy leaned forward. "Good. Now show me what you got." "Like, sing?" Justin asked. Diddy smiled, not a warm smile. A smile that didn't reach his eyes. "No, I don't want to hear you sing. I want to see you perform. Show me who you really are when nobody's watching." Justin's face went blank. Confused, scared. And that's when I saw it. Mounted on a tripod in the corner of the room, red recording light blinking steadily. A camera, pointed directly at the platform. I don't know how long I stood there. Time felt wrong in that hallway, like it was moving too slow and too fast at the same time. Justin started to move. Awkward at first, like he was trying to dance but didn't know the steps. Diddy just watched, expressionless, occasionally nodding or making small gestures with his hand. More, slower, let me see it. "You're holding back," Diddy said quietly. "Don't hold back. This is a safe space. Nobody's judging you here. This is just between us." Justin's movements became more exaggerated, more desperate. He was trying to please him, trying to pass whatever test this was. But the longer it went on, the more I realized this wasn't about talent. This wasn't about music or performance art or mentorship. This was about control, about breaking someone down until they forgot who they were. "That's it," Diddy said, leaning back in the chair. "You're getting it now. You're mine now, you know that. This moment, you'll carry it forever." Justin stopped moving. He stood there under the lights, chest heaving, eyes wet. He looked like he wanted to cry but couldn't. Diddy stood up, walked over to him and put both hands on his shoulders. "You did good, kid. Real good. This stays between us, right? This is our secret." Justin nodded slowly. "Say it," Diddy pressed. "Say it's our secret." "It's our secret," Justin whispered. Diddy smiled. Then he turned toward the camera and made a cutting gesture across his throat. The red light blinked off. I backed away from the door, heart pounding so hard I thought they'd hear it. I made it back down the stairs, back to my post, and stood there trying to look normal while my hands shook. When Justin finally came down 20 minutes later, he looked different. His hoodie was back on, hood pulled up, face hidden. He didn't look at me, didn't look at anyone. He just walked out the door like a ghost. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Justin's face under those lights. That hollow, empty look, like something inside him had been scooped out. I tried to tell myself I was overreacting, that maybe it was just weird Hollywood stuff. Rich people did strange things. Maybe it was performance art. Maybe I didn't understand the context. But deep down, I knew what I'd witnessed was wrong. The next morning, my supervisor called me into his office. He didn't sit down, just stood there with his arms crossed and stared at me for a long time. "You were upstairs last night," he said. It wasn't a question. I didn't answer. "Let me make something very clear," he continued. "You didn't see anything. You didn't hear anything. And you sure as hell didn't record anything." He leaned in closer. "Because if you did, you're not just losing your job. You're losing a lot more than that. Do you understand?" I nodded. "Good. Now get out." I worked there for 3 more weeks. Every day felt like walking through a minefield. I kept my head down, did my job, and tried not to think about what was happening in those locked rooms. But then I started noticing things. Justin's name kept coming up. Photos of him and Diddy at events, videos of them together, interviews where Diddy talked about mentoring him. And every time I saw Justin's face on a screen, I could see it. The change. The emptiness behind his eyes. He started acting out, canceling shows, getting arrested, breaking down on stage. People called him spoiled, unstable, a cautionary tale about fame. But I knew the truth. He wasn't broken by fame. He was broken by that room. I started digging. Not officially. I wasn't stupid enough to leave a trail. But I watched. I listened. I started connecting dots. Justin wasn't the only one. There were others. Young artists, up-and-coming singers, actors who'd suddenly disappear from the public eye for months, then come back different. Quieter. More compliant. I remembered other nights at that house. Other locked rooms, other creative sessions that lasted until dawn. One name kept appearing in old photos and footage. Usher. He'd been young too when Diddy mentored him, and Usher was the one who introduced Justin to Diddy in the first place. It was a cycle, a pattern, and it had been going on for decades. I found old interviews where Diddy talked about his methods for developing talent, how he liked to push artists to their limits, how he believed in breaking them down to build them back up. Everyone laughed, thought it was just tough love industry talk, but I knew what those words really meant. I'd seen the breaking. I'd never seen the building back up. 3 months after that night with Justin, I quit. Didn't give notice. Didn't collect my last check. Just packed my car at 4 a.m. and drove until I hit the Nevada border. I changed my phone number, deleted social media. Told my family I was traveling. I became invisible. But even in hiding, I couldn't escape it. Justin's face was everywhere. Magazine covers, news reports, viral videos of him crying during performances or punching paparazzi. People made memes, called him crazy, said he was on drugs. Nobody asked why. Nobody wanted to know what could break someone that completely. I tried to speak up once, anonymously on a forum, just a few vague details. Within 6 hours, the post was deleted. 2 days later, I got a phone call from a blocked number. Nobody spoke, just breathing. Then a voice, synthesized, mechanical, "We know where you are." The line went dead. I moved again, and again, and again. That was 5 years ago. I've been running ever since. I'm telling this story now because I can't carry it alone anymore, and because I think Justin deserves someone to say it out loud. What happened to you wasn't your fault. You were a kid. You trusted the wrong person, and that person used you. If you're reading this and you've ever wondered why Justin Bieber seems haunted, why he breaks down on stage, why he married young and clings to religion like a life raft. This is why. He's trying to survive, trying to forget, trying to be normal, but that room doesn't let you go. Not fully, not ever. I know because I was only there for a few hours and it still follows me. I still hear Diddy's voice. This is our secret. I still see Justin's face under those lights, and I know, somewhere in a locked room in a house that doesn't exist on any map, there's a hard drive with footage of that night and others. And I know that as long as that footage exists, Justin will never be free. So if you believe me, if any of this resonates with you, do not let this story die. Share it, talk about it, keep asking questions, because the only power these people have is silence. And I'm done being silent. One last thing, check your own shadows. Make sure they're still yours, because once you've seen what I've seen, you start noticing things that don't move right, things that watch when they shouldn't. And if you ever get invited to a creative session with someone powerful, someone untouchable, run. Don't think, don't hesitate, just run. Because some performances you never come back from.